And I just remember thinking, you know what? We're going to fail this final. My name is Blue Allen, and I play Moses Murphy in Life is Strange Double Exposure.
Engineering wants a prank war. I'm trying not to sink to their level.
Moses is this lovable astrophysicist. He's curious about everything. He's very smart. He's so smart. He's so smart. There's a love for humanity that I feel like Moses has in general, that I try to live by. But then on the other hand, sometimes I feel like he's very different from me, which is fun to play with. There's an innocence that Moses has. I feel like he feels as if the world hasn't like tainted him yet. I think someone, as I've gotten older and just like gone through life, sometimes I feel like, a little jaded at things, and I don't feel like he has that. There's something very just like sweet and human about him. And I think that's why having a friend like Safi is super important, because she's like a badass, right? And so she's that friend that'll pull him out of his comfort zone, and that's why I feel like we're a little different.
Comes with being the only scientist in a family of artsy-fartsy types.
For me, singing has always been one of the easiest ways for me to express anything. I feel like I can talk, but I'm very introverted. But I do feel like I'm able to express myself through music and through singing. I grew up in church singing. My grandmother was over the choir. It's just always been a thing for me. Music has always been my biggest passion. When I was deciding on like colleges and my career after high school, I was planning on going to culinary school. And then I had auditioned for another school, Southern Illinois University, and I got accepted, and they let me into the program. So that's how I decided on that school. It was really just, they wanted me, and I was like, okay, well, I'll go where I'm wanted. I don't think anything really hit me until the day I got dropped off. I had this like newfound freedom that I had never had, and I didn't really know what to do with it, but I knew like I couldn't, like I couldn't go back home.
You'd be surprised how quickly you get used to it.
Well, if we want to set the scene about my theory final, in relation to learning music theory, I learned music very differently. I knew I was in trouble when the semester started. Like, I suck at theory. I can't read sheet music. I am bad. I'm pulling all-nighters every day. Like, I was up to like 2, 3 a.m. just trying to study and like absorb as much information as I could. And so leading up to the final, I was just like, listen, I just have to get a C to pass it. Finally, it was like, I can't absorb anything else, and I have to go to sleep. And so I went to bed at like 3 or 4 a.m. And I did that thing that I realized that we do as adults where we're like, oh, I'll still be able to wake up. Like, I'm fine. I can get 2 hours of sleep and I will wake up right on time. And I did not. I woke up at 8:40. And my class started at 8 and ended at 9:30, I believe. And I got to class, it was like 8:45. And I walked in. Of course, classes started. Everyone's heads are down. They're taking their final. And I just walk in. And I just remember thinking, you know what? We're going to fail this final. As long as we accept that, let's just put some shit on the paper. And I sat down, and the thing was you had to answer all the questions, but I only had 30 minutes left. And each question was gonna take me at least like 10 minutes. And I was just like writing shit down, and I was like, wow, this has gotta be wrong. I was just doing the final, and time was up. And I turned to my final, and I remember I just walked out the door and went back to my dorm. I didn't speak to my friends. I just went to my dorm and I took a nap. And I saw them at the class later and failed that class.
I think I have an idea, but once we go down this road, we can't turn back.
My second semester of college was 1,000 times better. And after that semester, I left school on a high. Left school on a high with already knowing the decision that I wasn't coming back, because I had applied to another college and I was gonna study music therapy, actually. My mom sent me down one day and was like, what are you doing? And I was like, girl, I don't know. I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't know. I'm going to school though. I am going to college. I'm doing it. And I remember she was like, do you think like you have to, like it's a requirement? And I was like, well, yeah. And she said, no, I've never required that from you. And so her sitting me down and having that conversation felt like the biggest weight had been lifted. And I didn't go back to school. And then I started auditioning for musicals and plays and literally never stopped. I hopped on a moving train and I've been working ever since.
The scientist and the poet. duality?
I would say my life experience prepared me for Moses because it allowed me to walk into spaces as my full self. It feels really personal because I, had to go through this like weird year of all this self-doubt because of new things, right? Like new things are scary. And I think I went the route of doubting myself and being scared and being like, no, I can't do it. And I think it prepared me for Moses because doing this video game and animation was scary at first because I'd never done it. And I was in this new space, but I didn't feel inadequate. I felt like I'm Blue and this is what I have to give. And it helped me connecting with this character so much because I was like, you know what? There's a reason they wanted me here. And finding ways that me and him are similar, it just felt like everything settled in perfectly. Like I felt like this was my job, And I felt like in a way that this character was created for me to play.
A better question would be, what isn't special about it?
My name is Blue Allen, and be sure to catch me in Life is Strange Double Exposure.
I continue to be the change. Be the change that I wanted to see in the world. My name is Alasia Gray, and I play Diamond Washington in Life is Strange Double Exposure.
The only thing I'm taking from him is his crown.
Diamond is incredible. She's a go-getter, very driven, talented, and doesn't take any crap from anybody. So those are things that stand out to me about Diamond. She's an artist, she's a filmmaker, and I went to film school, theater and film, so I immediately resonated with that. I also very much resonate with her activism, because I'm very much an activist, so I love her. I feel like she's me, a version of me.
It used to be about activism and creating art that matters.
When I was growing up, I was always very passionate about performing, loved different roles and characters. Also was always very into advocating for others. College, I knew I wanted to study theater. And then because I had this affinity for politics and things, I minored in poli-sci, so political science as well. I went to CU Denver, yeah, and I was there 4 years. I knew going into college that I wanted to do a study abroad program. And of course, there was no other place but Paris that I wanted to go, and studied French there, but also art and architecture, which was literally a different field trip every day. Like, get on the metro, this is where class is today, figure it out. So I loved that, just being able to be independent in a whole other country and just figure it out.
You gotta seize the opportunities when you can.
Getting there, it was actually a whirlwind. And I remember it was in a time where there were still calling cards. And I just remember needing to call my mom, and it took like days to even contact her. Just even the day-to-day of like the showers and just like how that was in dorm life. Because even in my undergrad, I had my own apartment. So like I was not even used to like a dorm, and then you gotta walk to the shower. And so that was a thing to get used to. It was just an adventure every day. But I will say one of the most saddening days I had there was one of my final days, which I actually had a final presentation due for my art and architecture class. And I forgot which museum we needed to get to that day. And for some reason, I just like could not find it. My class just wasn't there, the teacher wasn't there, and I was just crying. So I think I just learned like a lot about myself, a lot about patience, a lot about just resilience and grit.
And hey, it almost worked.
Diamond is very determined and very driven. Nothing can stand in her way. And so I think, yeah, definitely studying abroad and having that experience, you have to have, even if you're nervous or scared, there's a level of confidence you have to have. And yeah, definitely some of that Parisian experience.
I mean, I wasn't trying to stop you.
So I graduated my undergrad in 2011, but there was something where I was like, okay, but I feel like I still want to like experience going back to school. I want to do it before I feel like it's too late. And I saw the program that I actually ended up getting into, which was in social and environmental arts practice, meaning those who use their art for social justice, for social change, and activism. So yeah, when I got accepted into that program, I was just like, yeah, this is what I need to be doing. And then all of us in different capacities, especially me, were at protests. I was still creating art about protests, activating students to use their voice and talking about Black Lives Matter, but also just the pandemic and doing literally a docu-theater project, and then dealing with my own like trauma from like racism and stuff that was continuing to happen. That's the stuff I'm navigating in my career all the time, hence the activism and why I do what I do in so many different avenues.
Always a safe assumption.
So this is my actual cap that I wore for grad school. This is 2021. Continue to be the change. Be the change that I wanted to see in the world. It doesn't stop here. So one thing that I love that came out of my grad program actually was, I have an internationally published essay called Why Are There No Great Kids of Color in the Performing Arts? It's an examination of like inequity in the arts for kids of color. And I speak at conferences nationwide because of it, and South by Southwest, for instance, education conference, I spoke there. And it was a project that I did in grad school and was really encouraged by my cohort, by my faculty to like go further with it. I don't feel like I'm gonna get emotional, but like, sorry, I did not expect to get emotional. So yeah, graduating meant your work isn't done, it's just beginning, and keep being the change.
I am playing the long game.
My name is Alasia Gray. Thank you for listening to my story, and make sure to check out Life is Strange Double Exposure.